Hi, this is Melissa Negrin-Wiener, and you're listening to Elder Law Matters. I am an elder law and estate planning attorney with Genzer Dubow, Genzer & Kona, located in Melville, New York, and I can be reached at 631-390-5000 or at genzerlaw.com. And I have a guest with me today, Katie Coleman from Ameriprise Financial. Katie, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, thanks, Melissa. Thanks for having me. My name is Katie Coleman. I'm the managing partner and a certified financial planner with Sienna Wealth Advisory Group, located in Melville, New York. Our firm phone number is 631-390-8450, and our website is siennawealthadvisorygroup.com.
Thank you, Katie. Thanks for joining me today.
Excited to be here.
Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and how you
Okay.
got into financial planning?
So I've been in financial services for about 15 years. My main passion and objective is helping people. So I feel blessed to have the opportunity to help them plan for the rest of their lives through comprehensive financial planning that focuses on retirement planning. Such a large transition, and with the aging population and 10,000 people turning 65 a day, there's such a need for comprehensive advice to protect them and their families in the future.
And what's the most important thing that you talk to families about when they're in this position, this place in their life?
Wow, there's so many aspects. So I'd say one of the most important things we focus on is when you think about the transition into retirement, there's so many different things to consider. Not only emotionally that transition, psychologically, and then also the financial aspects of it. So while you're working, income is a renewable resource. But as you're going to transition into that retirement period, you have to have a strategy in place for those income needs to continue your income in retirement. And we really feel like one of our core philosophies is you have to have a team of trusted advisors that are working together, hand in hand, to help you achieve your goals and objectives.
And who makes up that group?
Well, I mean, that's why we work so closely with attorneys and then also accountants. So you really have to have a team in place that's communicating with one another to help you meet those goals and needs.
Okay, and would you say, I know with elder law attorneys, we typically tell people that they should check in with us or go to see an elder law attorney when there's a major life change. Would you say that that's the same for financial planning?
So our approach is a little unique in that aspect. So we meet with our clients on a quarterly basis. And really the reason for that is your lives are ever changing and evolving. So your needs are ever changing and evolving. And in addition to that, the world's become a complex place, right? So as you get older, your needs may change, your income needs may change. Or not only that, there may be things happening in your life on a day-to-day basis with your family that we need to be aware of. So we focus on not only financial goals and non-financial goals. So from the financial aspect and the comprehensive financial planning, we really like to meet with our clients on a quarterly basis.
Okay, and what is a first meeting like?
Yeah. So a first meeting, it's a lot of quality time together. So what we do is we spend about 2.5 hours together. And we really, prior to a prospective client coming in to meet with myself and my business partner, we kind of explain the process to them, right? Because the whole process is managing expectations. So we want to let them know it's an opportunity for them to get to know us and an opportunity for us to get to know them. And really see if, we connect with one another and it's going to be a good working relationship. But primarily our goal is to sit down and help identify their core goals and objectives of what they're trying to accomplish.
Okay, so you clearly have a very holistic approach to this whole thing, that it's important to really have a relationship, to have people that that trust you. For our listeners, people that they can trust, people that they can get to know, feel comfortable with, and not just a voice on the other end of the phone.
No, not at all. So, this is a long-lasting relationship built on trust and communication. It's important for us to respect one another and be meeting on an ongoing basis because our lives are ever evolving and changing. that is the core, and helping people is really what we want to focus on. You only get one chance at retirement. We want to help you get it right? And we need to help plan and have a strategy in place prior to that occurring. So it is very much a holistic approach. We really think there's 8 key numbers that everyone should know for their financial freedom. We call it the Great 8. And that's really the key to their success, and being aware of what those numbers are.
Is that a secret, the Great 8? Or you want to tell us?
I'd be happy to tell you. So the 8 key numbers that everyone should know, their net worth, their cash reserve, discretionary income, their disability insurance, their life insurance, their long-term care needs, how much they should have earmarked for retirement or another funding goal, and the total value of their estate. So, a key with us is if we meet with someone and they don't have their estate planning documents, we know it's our responsibility to make sure that they schedule an appointment with an attorney. We will join them for that meeting to make sure that they get those documents in place.
And I assume by estate planning documents, you're referring to the power of attorney, healthcare proxy, the trust, if they need a trust to protect their assets, their last will and testament.
Absolutely. All of those documents. I've been so surprised over the last few years of how many people don't know the significance and the importance of having those documents in place. And God forbid something happened to your family, you want them to be able to make financial decisions and health decisions on your behalf.
Right. Sure. You're listening to Melissa Negrin-Wiener. I'm an elder law and estate planning attorney with Genzer, Dubau, Genzer & Kona, located in Melville. I can be reached at 631-390-5000 or at my website, genserlaw.com. And our guest today is Katie Coleman with Sienna Wealth Advisory Group, and her office is located at?
We are in Melville, New York, and our office phone number is 631-390-8450, and our website is siennawealthadvisorygroup.com.
Terrific. Thanks, Katie. So Katie and I do a lot of work together over the years, a lot of clients in common, and I would love for you to talk a little bit about a family that you really helped. Does anybody kind of jump into mind that you could share?
Oh, wow. Well, there's one in particular that we're working with right now, and it's a family that, the father has really been the core of the family for years and years. And he's, over the last year or so has fallen ill. And it's been a combination of one medical situation after another. He's been repeatedly in the hospital, multiple surgeries. And really, I think the surprise to me was sitting down with this family. All of the sudden, it got to the point of crisis management, right? So the 2 kids had to step in and take over. And really, there were accounts at 24 different financial institutions. There were no documents in place. And that's really when we brought you in, because we needed your guidance and assistance for making sure he had the appropriate, will, power of attorney, healthcare proxy, living well, and also the trust. So now, working with them to make sure he's being approved for Medicaid, so he's going to be receiving additional benefits. His main goal and objective was spending time with him as he wants to stay in his home. So I think for me, everyone's plan is unique, making sure that they can achieve their goals. For him, it's just making sure he has care at home. So working with the other like-minded professionals that are always putting the client first, and knowing that through these documents that you've put in place in your team, he's going to be able to receive these benefits and stay in his home.
I think that the goal really is for anybody that works with people of retirement age is to avoid the crisis situation. And that's a big part of what we do, of educating and trying to get the information out there so people put these things in place before there's a major crisis where other people have to step in and things need to move quickly and everybody's emotional at the same time and trying to really, get a hold of this. And so it's really important.
Yeah. And we really promote communication amongst the families, and to try to be as proactive as possible so we are not in a crisis management perspective, and really communicate with your children or whomever is going to be making those decisions on your behalf what your wishes are, before the situation arises.
That's a big issue too, I think. I see with a lot of families where there's a lot of trouble in communicating amongst each other, the children, the caretaker, with all the other siblings. Sometimes it can get really tough and really heated.
It can get really heated. And primarily from the financial aspect of things, we really want to know who that primary contact should be. So God forbid something does happen, an event occurs where they become incapacitated, or we notice they may be aging or those types of things. We need to have someone to call, to make sure that the client's taken care of.
One of the biggest questions that I get from the children, I guess, because they're kind of in that crisis situation planning with the assets, is what's the best way to leave an IRA to a beneficiary? Is it I just had a client in the office the other day. They wanted to leave it into a trust for their child versus just the child as the beneficiary. What's the difference?
So it really depends on what the objectives of the client are, right? So it really depends on, a lot of times they may want to stretch the IRA beneficiary designation. They may want to leave it to a grandchild instead of a child. It really depends on how they want to leave the money outright to their children. A lot of times what the problem is with IRAs, statistically speaking, about 70% of the time, the beneficiary pulls all of the money out in a lump sum. And because of all of that money is taxable, that's a significant tax consequence.
Is that taxable to the beneficiary or to the estate?
It's taxable to the beneficiary of the IRA.
Okay.
So if they take the entire lump sum out, a substantial portion of that money could go to taxes. Taxes have to be paid because the money was put into the IRA on a pre-tax basis. So when you pull it out, whomever's pulling it out, the taxes have to be paid. So really, it depends if the parents are trying to protect the beneficiaries from themselves and they want to stretch it out. There are special beneficiary designations in place that could require that distributions cannot be taken out in a lump sum till after age 50. Really, to optimize the IRA, it's to stretch them out over the lifetime of the beneficiary and take smaller distributions.
So when you do that, when you stretch it out over the lifetime of the beneficiary, you're using the life expectancy then of the beneficiary?
Correct.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right. And really, if the beneficiary happens to be a spouse, you look at it, and a lot of times it makes the most sense to do a spousal transfer. Take advantage of the fact that, a spouse is the only one that you could do a direct transfer into their IRA.
So you can actually put it right into the IRA that they already have?
Only with a spousal transfer.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I find that a lot of times we have people sitting around the table saying, they're concerned about leaving things to their children outright. Maybe, if the child has creditor issues or they have concerns about the daughter or son-in-law, which is always a big thing that comes up. That's a good thing to know, that you can restrict what those distributions are.
Absolutely. And not only that, to the point that you just made, in our initial meeting and as we get to know clients more and more and spend time with them, you'd be amazed how much of the decisions have to do with family dynamics. So it is imperative for us to know the family dynamics. And if there are not only, son-in-law issues or whatever the case may be, but also if there's grandchildren or children with special needs. We need to make sure that from the very beginning we know that and how to protect them and plan for their goals and objectives so their benefits that they may receive are not impacted in any way. So you have to know them intimately to help them really identify their goals and objectives to make sure the entire situation is protected.
I agree with you 100%. I can't tell you how many families I've had where that's like the last thing they tell me during a conversation. My response was, okay, everything has to change now. Let me, shift. Like you said, you can't do certain things. Like in Medicaid world, right, there's an exemption to transfer assets to a disabled child. Medicaid does not consider those transfers. They don't penalize you for transfers to a disabled child. But like you said, if that disabled child is on government benefits, now you're moving all this money into their name, and they're no longer going to qualify for what they're getting. So you have to really, that's a really important one. You have to really know, like you said, intimately what's going on.
Right. And that takes time. I mean, meeting people for the first time, a lot of times you have to develop a comfort level till they're going to, share all of their dark family secrets or whatever the case, what the dynamics may be. But that's important for us to be, the best comprehensive financial planners that we can be. We need to know intimately the family dynamics.
And do you do most of your meetings at your clients' homes or in your office?
Predominantly in the office. We do just because we have everything there that we need in the event we need to run out of a meeting and grab something or additional information. But I will say we not only meet in our office, we do a lot of conference calls. And now with technology, we do a lot of WebExes. So we actually work with clients in 23 states. And last year, we opened a second office. We now have our primary office is here in Melville, New York. And then our second office is in Naples, Florida.
Oh, that's terrific. So you have clients, and you have a lot of snowbird clients?
We do.
There's going to be more and more, I bet.
I know. And I don't blame them.
Right.
With the snow in the winter, right.
So what's your biggest piece of advice, from a financial perspective? I know you say you focus a lot on retirement. So I guess specifically to people who are in that position where they're starting to think about it, what's your biggest piece of advice?
I would think my one takeaway would be you need to have a plan in place. You need to have a plan of not only of what retirement's going to look like, the strategy as you go into it from a financial, emotional, and psychological perspective. So you need to have a plan. And then I would say secondary, you need to have a team of trusted advisors that work together for you and your greater good.
And what about the younger people? What about the people who are either just starting out or maybe they're in their late 30s or early 40s and they're kind of starting to panic because they haven't really, and I'm talking about, people that I know in my life that really haven't started to think about long-term and retirement. Are they out of time?
No, but it's time to start now. The younger you are, the better off we're all going to be. I think that really that's I love to work with the younger couples, with young kids, or they're just starting out because you can develop habits early, start systematically saving. By the time you get to retirement, you're gonna be in a good position.
It's amazing to me how many people I know just in my social life or my sibling social circle that live hand to mouth, that are very successful people that,
Well, and a lot of that has to do with, especially New York is a very expensive place to live.
True.
Right? And raise a family. And, look at, growing up from Atlanta, look at the real estate taxes here versus there. It was like shock for me. But, that's very true. Right? And people with young families, even our family friends and things like that, they don't have a lot of time. They're time starved, right? So our main objective, regardless of the age of the client we're working with, our main goal is we want to make the complex simple. So if you can develop a plan, even if it's a small plan, just keeping it simple, a list of 5 or 10 things you need to do to increase your probability of success, that's great. Keep it simple.
Okay, so that would be your main takeaway for the younger crowd, I guess.
Absolutely. Have a plan in place. Make sure you have your will, especially if you have young kids, there's a guardianship issue. Make sure you have enough life insurance to protect your spouse. Disability insurance is extremely important, especially if you and your spouse are dependent on each other's income. And really, those great 8 numbers that I told you about, they apply regardless of what generation that you're working with.
Okay, and can you tell us one more time where we can find you?
Absolutely. So again, my name is Katie Coleman. Our office is located in Melville, New York. We also have a satellite office in Naples, Florida. Our phone number is 631-390-8450, and our website is siennawealthadvisorygroup.com.
Terrific. And this is Melissa Negrin-Wiener, elder law and estate planning attorney with Genzer, Dubow, Genzer, and Kona. We're located in Melville, New York. We can be reached at 631-390-5000 or at our website, genserlaw.com. Katie, thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you'll come back.
Thank you for having me. This was wonderful.